Hello and welcome to An Englishman and an Irishman Go to the Movies, the podcast that is begging to carry Tom Hardy's illegitimate love child. I'm Ian Whittington, and as always, this is the Irishman that can relate to being left in charge of something he doesn't fully understand whilst being shouted at by an Englishman doing a dodgy accent. Sean Berwick!
I mean, cut straight to the fucking core of me there, Ian. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. I can't help thinking of... It's not an Irish thing, but I can't help... When Donald was on the phone, I can't help thinking of poor Sean.
Oh.
So it's his cider you're drinking?
Yeah, listen, right, I've had one... So it's a bottle of fizzy pop. It's a bottle of fizzy pop.
How many ciders exactly is it, Donald?
Listen, alright, I'm not drunk, right?
But I can't drive.
I can't have that on my record. Not again.
No. Cool. Yes. We are going to talk about Locke as our Rewindables series continue. So we actually hadn't come up with the title, the Rewindables, last week. So thank you to Albert Hogan, our lovely, lovely Albie, for helping us kind of brainstorm and come up with that. I love it. It works. Well, it doesn't work at all because it's a VHS reference, so it doesn't apply at all. But it still
works
funny.
For me. Yeah, you can imagine. Although, spoiler, one of the films is not the horror anthology VHS, it would suit it very well.
It would, absolutely. I mean, would that even be close to your list?
No, not even. No. I mean, I have seen it. It isn't. I've seen the first two. I think there's three. There's probably more than I'm thinking of, and they're both very watchable. Like they're not bad in any way. Rewindable? I don't know. But definitely worth a watch.
No. Did you ever over rewind a cassette and then it would you'd have to manually?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not a terrorist.
Too many times and it gets. Oh, okay, fair enough. Right. So, Sean, how are you?
I am good. Yes, thank you very much. I'm trying to think if I have news for this, personal news. There's world news. Quiet week. Not much happened in the world.
Not much.
No.
Should we go to the news?
I think this is a good time to go to the news. Yeah.
No fancy intro or movie news this week, just this message. Fuck Donald Trump. See you on the wrong side of history, you big orange what's it.
Yeah, I decided that, everyone's talking about him these days, so I've decided I'm just going to do this instead. Amy Doris, September 5th, 1997. Karen Johnson, early 2000s. E. Jean Carroll, 1995 or early 1996. Alva Johnson, August 2016. Nene Lockinson, 2006, Jessica Drake, 2006, Karina Virginia, 1998, Kathy Heller, 1997, Summer Zavaris, 2007, Kristen Anderson, early 90s, Samantha Halvey, 2006, Lisa Boyne, 1996, Jessica Leeds, early 80s, Rachel Cooks, 2005, Mindy McGilvray, 2003, Natasha Stoyanov, 2005, Jennifer Murphy, 2005, Mariah Belado, 1997, Tasha Dixon, 2001, Cassandra Surlis, possibly 2013, Jane Doe, obviously not her real name, 1994, Bridget Sullivan, 2000, Temple Taggart McDowell, 1997, Jill Harth, 1993, Ivana Trump, 1989. And those are the 25 people who have accused him of sexual misconduct. And I think it just... While that motherfucker is having his little tantrums, just something that bears remembering.
Well, fingers crossed this is where his legacy ends. But Sean, should we move on to some happier things? Let's talk about some movies we want to recommend.
On to much happier things, yes.
Do you have a film you'd like to recommend this
I
week?
do have a film I'd like to recommend, and it's strange. So it's been sitting there on the watch list for a little while, and it's called Guns Akimbo, and it stars Daniel Radcliffe and Samara Weaving. The film itself is really, really good, but Samara Weaving is quickly becoming one of my favourite actresses at the moment. She's in films like, obviously, Guns Akimbo. She's in Ready or Not, which is amazing. And everyone stop what you're doing and watch it right now.
I can't remember Ready or Not.
Ready or Not, she marries into the wrong family.
Okay.
That's-
No, I don't remember that.
Oh
So.
no, it's brilliant. It's like 2008, 2019, I think. It's very, very
Okay,
good.
quite recent.
She also starred in the Netflix horror The Babysitter. She also starred in the Ryan Murphy series Hollywood as well. So she's very much an up and comer at the moment, but she plays quite the demented character in this film called Nix, and the look would remind you a little bit of Harley Quinn. Margot Robbie's Harley
awesome.
Quinn.
Nice.
Daniel Radcliffe is, at the start of the movie, he is a feckless, lounging drinker with nothing going on. His girlfriend has left him. He spends his evenings posting trolling comments against trolls.
Nice. I can get on board with that.
But then he does it on the wrong website and wakes up with two guns bolted to either one of his hands, and he's told that if he doesn't kill Nix, she'll kill him. And the movie begins.
Oh, that's incredible!
It's actually very, very... And you know what? It's done firmly tongue-in-cheek. It's very much a black comedy. And yeah, it's really, really good. And clips along. I think it's about an hour 30, maybe an hour 40. Completely clips along at a good pace. It is gruesome. Just for the squeamish out there, you have been warned.
I love, with a passion, the choices that Daniel Radcliffe has made post Potterverse. Like, it's like he deliberately went, you know what, fuck that. This is me now. First of all, I'm gonna let it all hang out on stage with a horse. Then I'm gonna get haunted by a thing. So good. Yeah, brilliant, lovely Woman in Black. Then I'm going to, you know what, I'm gonna play a corpse on an island. And I'm missing out a ton of stuff in between. But his career has gone bonkers, and I love it.
He seems to have completely successfully broken the Hollywood destroys child actor stereotype, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really nice to see. Yeah, probably about 6 decades, Jesus, 6 decades
He's looking
too
well.
late coming. Yeah. Okay, cool. Good recommend on that one. I'll probably watch that. I wish I could recommend something. I have to give
an anti-recommend, a D-recommend even.
A D-recommend. Yeah. This is a hard warn. I don't recommend anybody watch this film, which is horrible because people made this film and they had a job and they did a thing, and I'm sure people are proud of it. It's on Netflix. It's called Spree. Now, Spree, it's all... cell phone footage for our American audience. Sorry, it's mobile phone footage. So the premise is this guy wants to go viral. That is the premise of it. And he has a friend that he used to, friend in inverted commas, a kid that he used to babysit that has basically in about 6 weeks managed to get more fame and more notoriety than he has in the 10 years that he's been having his channel. And he's just like, how'd you do it? And long story short, the only way he can think of going viral is to kill a bunch of people under the guise of an Uber. So Spree is this film's version of Uber. So he picks people up and he kills them. And then he videos it. And that's the movie. There is no subtlety in this film at all. There isn't a decent joke, I hope, because if it's trying to be funny, it isn't.
Is it a comedy or is it a horror?
To say it's a dark comedy is an understatement. This is a black hole comedy. Like, no light or joy escapes it at all. I get what it's trying to say, but it does it with no subtlety whatsoever. It's like, yes, it's ridiculous trying to get famous on the internet. Yes, people will do ridiculous things, but this is like the lowest common denominator? Lowest common... No,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's the one. It's that. Cool. Go and kill a bunch of people and record it. But there's nothing else to the story. There's no, nothing in it. Oh, it was all shocking, but none of it shocked me. So just disappointing, because the trailer to it looked quite funny, because he kind of does this instructional video on how to poison a bottle of water. And it's under the guise of a life hack video. So it's like, well, if you peel the label off of the bottle and then you inject it just here and you re-glue the label, nobody will ever know. What it doesn't do very well is address his mental health, because this guy obviously needs help. and it's not addressed, and it's not handled well or delicately. Yeah, it's a hideous film.
So, Joe Keery, is it? So Stranger Things, Joe Keery. What's his?
Yeah, it is your man from Stranger Things. It's the
Can't remember what he played.
love interest.
Yeah, he turns out to be a good guy. He's kind of a douche in the first few episodes, and he turns out he's actually a good guy. The one with the hair.
But yeah, exactly. He's the one with the hair that is a bit douchey, but turns out to be all right. He's like Zach from Saved by the Bell. Yeah, it's him, and it's really bad. It's so bad. Sorry, guys. Please don't. I'm doing you a service. Do not watch this movie.
Alrighty, I will do. Oh, one thing, this is neither a recommend nor not, because I know neither of us have seen this yet, but apparently the world is watching Bridgerton.
I've heard 50-50 things about it. You either hate
Yeah,
it or
same.
love it. Yeah, like straight down the middle.
Yeah, I've had a few friends text me going basically like that. Drop what you're doing now and watch Bridgerton, and there I am holding a newborn, going, all right then.
Dropped.
Yeah. Ooh, it doesn't bounce. And then, yeah, other people just like, no, it's fluff, it's not good. But again, not having seen it, and please, this is the bit where I ask people listening to let us know if you're watching it or what you think of it, because is it just like delightful fluff that we need right now? Because we're, as of recording, we're 10 days into 2021, and oh my god, stop trying to go hard or go home, 2021. 2020 did everything in a year. Pace yourself.
2020 wasn't a challenge. It didn't need to be beaten.
It's a limit, not a target.
Yeah, exactly. So it reminds me of The Favourite. Did you ever watch The Favourite?
I didn't. It just haven't got around to it yet.
I really, really liked The Favourite. I think it was really clever. It feels like a TV version of that. It says a person who equally hasn't seen Bridgerton. But I love this. This should be the segment Ian and Sean comment about things they haven't watched and probably won't.
Oh, this is good. Actually, we can make a new game out of this where we talk about things like this, and then much later on down the line, like, I don't know, summer, we come back and we play the audio from this bit and go,
yes,
my God, we were either right on the money or we hadn't a notion.
Okay, rapid prediction. I predict that halfway through the season, a child is born, but they don't really believe the father is who everyone thinks the father is. And the season finale reveal will be the father.
As long as he arrives in a TARDIS, I'm fine.
Okay, cool.
I just feel like that's where Doctor Who is going these days as well, in fairness.
So your prediction is that Doctor Who turns up in the season finale?
I thought you were a fan. It's The Doctor, not Doctor Who.
My
God.
God. Yep, if you're going for the Peter Cushing universe, then it is Doctor Who.
Okay, right. While that was an admirable attempt at saving there, we don't actually have the rights to discuss the Peter Cushing films, and so they never happened.
Right, okay, well, insert TARDIS thing here and let's move on.
Please do.
Before we get on to Locke, I have a request of everybody. We want to do some Twitter questions on the show, so please message us any questions. They can literally be anything, because we'll choose what we talk about or not. So whether it's about the pod itself, our favourite movies, things that you would like to see on the show, things that you'd like to hear, movie recommendations, anything you want to talk about, we want to get you involved with the pod and talk about it on the show.
Cool. Seriously, just anything is fine. Example, answer, it hangs to the left. Whatever.
I knew he was going to do that. I knew it.
Of course you knew I was going to do that.
I can't just do a good segment, solid segment, without you slipping it in. Wayo.
I mean, the joke writes itself.
Yeah. That's the name of your sex tape as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So we've talked about the key, so let's talk about the lock.
Damn, nice.
Thank you. Thank
Brilliant.
you very much. I'm really quite proud of that one.
That was excellent. Right, so the Rewindables Part 2. It's my turn. Locke. Now, like we said, this isn't necessarily our favourite films, but this is the ones that we have to keep watching. And I'm really glad that a couple of you guys on Twitter watched it as well. Sarah and Sidebox Haircut, I think, is Justin, your partner. I'm sorry if I've got everyone's names wrong. However, Cybox Haircut is possibly the best Twitter handle in the world.
What a great Twitter handle.
It's awesome. So thank you. So I know a few of you guys not necessarily watched along with us. That's something we want to do in the future, but watched the film and gave us a bit of a chat on Twitter. So really, really glad that you guys loved the film as well. Sean, what did you expect going into the film? Because obviously I'd hyped it up massively.
So the general premise I got, like, it's Tom Hardy in a car for an hour and a half, so that much is fine. Yeah. So that I started to wonder,
something dramatic happens on this car journey. Yeah. That's the only primer that I had as well.
That's it, right? So even the so I watched the trailer just before watching the film, right?
How do you make
always
a trailer
do that
for this film? Seriously,
yeah, exactly.
How?
You have to, obviously condense it, but it's actually really clever because it doesn't give anything away. So when I found out what he's in the car for,
sorry, I just made an absolute meal of trying to subtly get the lid off of my drink, and I failed. Sorry.
Clickety clookety.
Continue.
Thank you. Watch as all that is cut out of the pod. Nah. Alright, so I thought, so somewhere along the way, I got it in my head that it was something to do with he was a driver for, like, organised crime or something, or he got caught up in some sort of, illegal activities, and that couldn't be further from why he's in the car. In a way, it's kind of the most mundane,
normal film.
Yeah, like, there's nothing, in fact, out of what could happen to literally anyone.
Yeah, like, terrifyingly so.
Yeah.
I had exactly the same thought. I assumed he was on the run. So I thought that he was either fleeing I knew it was kind of mundane, so I assumed he was fleeing, like, an accidental murder or an accident or something like that. And the phone calls that he was making were to cover his tracks. So he was creating alibis for himself, or he was putting pieces into place, like, right, you hide the body, you need to say I was here at this time. Which I actually want to make that film. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I had no idea it was going to be this at all.
It's so good. His phone bill by the end of this movie.
Oh, come on, he's got minutes. He must. So that will absolutely be a work phone. I'm amazed that it wasn't disconnected. To be completely honest, because I'm sure that's a work telephone that he's using, because it has all of his work contacts in there.
It's so funny. I text you in the opening, let's say, 10 minutes of this film, and I said, it's really hard to like this guy. So it opens up, and you're like, what am I watching here? Why are we following this guy? He's not really likable. And then it's a bit like, it's probably not 5 minutes after that, there is a complete heel turn in how you feel about him. And by the end of it, you're just like...
You just want some kind of outcome for him, don't you? He doesn't deserve the best, but you want him to have something. So my reply to Sean was, tell me that at the end of the film, that you still don't like him. It is complicated. So right beginning of I don't know how to take this other than I'm too excited. I love this film. This film doesn't work without Tom Hardy, does it? Really?
Well, you do. You need someone who is an everyman, who can absolutely come out, because it's not just. This is a film that lives or dies on every inch of the performance, right? And not just obviously delivering the lines, which are, I mean, it's incredibly well written film as well, but also it's the gestures, it's the increasing agitation, it's the swallowing down the frustrations.
And all of this film was in the direction and the performance. It's not a. I thought there would be more to talk about behind the scenes on it, but it was very, very simple. I say it was very simple. It was simpler than I expected it to be. But it is all in how tired he is and how Tom Hardy manages to communicate his feelings about everything, about his family, about his job, about his reputation, about his dad. So I don't know where you want to jump into. Actually, I know, like the first choice that he makes. So he leaves the cement plant. He leaves the building site, and he stops at the traffic lights, and he's indicating left. And that seems to go on for an eternity.
Yeah, the car behind him is leaning on the horn.
And then you can mentally see him go, fuck it, indicates right. And then it's at that point that he's made the decision, I am going to London. So I guess we can spoil it at this point. Essentially, Tom Hardy is a married man, very, very high profile site manager, building something on the same scale as a skyscraper, like something. It was actually based on the Shard, so it's absolutely huge. He had an affair about 7 months previous, and that woman is now giving birth to his baby. And he decides, I need to be there at the birth, and this is the 1.5 hour journey from Birmingham to London, and how his life falls apart from there to the hospital. The next morning, it's the cement pour. This is laying the foundations of the building. It is the most crucial bit of the process. It is the largest cement pour in the history of Europe outside of military,
nuclear.
Yeah, nuclear and military bases. Yeah,
which we are told several times by, I would say several characters, which they are, but maybe several voices.
Yeah, several voices, but they are characters. Like the voice acting on the phone calls is phenomenal.
Excellent. It's really, really good.
So yeah, it's almost on a whim, isn't it, that he decides, I could go home, I could go and watch the football. Yeah, because meanwhile at his house, his 2 sons are waiting for him to come home and watch their favourite team on football, his favourite team on TV.
And they've even managed to get Mum to wear the shirt.
Which is a big deal.
And she's making hot dogs as well.
His favourite sausages, the German ones.
Oh, that's what it is.
It's like the perfect thing is waiting for him at home, and he's had to pick a direction that is opposite to that and deal with this mistake.
This is where at the start you're just like, oh, what a bastard. Because you don't have all of the facts yet, so you're just like, oh, he's clearly got the perfect family at home.
Yeah. And
they love him to bits because his wife Katrina comes on the phone. He doesn't tell her straight away.
No, he gets...
There's 2 phone calls with her, right?
No, it's the first phone call is the one that... is the one that he tells her because, he's telling her to go upstairs. And then he begins to explain everything. So it is quite early on and it's important that he does that quite early on. But I think where you lost him was that he was saying, no, I've only done this once. This is only the one time. That doesn't make it okay, does it?
It does, and he's so... Right, so, something for the whole film, and that he manages to keep for the whole film, which is almost unnerving in how much you will begin to like him because of this, is how level-headed he is throughout the entire film. And there's no arrogance, there's no like, let's say in the context of, he's got another woman pregnant, he doesn't turn around and say, I was lonely, you were ignoring me.
Yep, doesn't try and blame her.
Nothing like that at all. It's my problem. I am going to address my problem.
Alcohol was involved. She was lonely. I felt sorry for her. I was kind of lonely. Alcohol was involved, and it happened. It doesn't make me a good person. But and I think this is why she is so infuriated with him, and why his colleagues are so infuriated with him, is because he's all about the next practical step, isn't he?
Yeah.
How do we move on from this? What has happened has happened. Dwelling on it won't change the situation. What do we do next? Maybe if he'd pleaded and begged for forgiveness, there might have been a different outcome. His wife might have said, "Okay, let's talk about this." But is it more frustrating that he's just like, "Can we move on? What's next? I really need you to tell me that I have a home to come back to."
And that can be, in the grand scheme, that can be incredibly frustrating when you're being either asked or told by the person who has dropped this bombshell, and it is a bombshell. It completely over the course of one phone call, but obviously over the course of a film, destroys their lives as they have known it. And this guy who walked in and dropped this bomb is then, I need to know I have somewhere to come home to.
Yeah.
I am going to do the right thing here. You're being told by the person who has just destroyed your life, I'm going to do the right thing. And she's like, well, you didn't do the right thing. That's the entire point, is that you didn't do the right thing.
And the way she reacts feels so real, because she's looking around the room and just saying, nothing looks the same. For anybody that's been through something similar, you look at everything differently, and especially the things that you associate with that person, they don't look the same anymore. And it was such a real reaction to that situation, and she can't deal with it, so she has to hang up. And then it's denial, and then it's anger, and then it's, right, I've come to a resolution.
It says something as well. I'm jumping around a bit here, but by the time they're having the call where she's just, she's talking about nearly washing everything so that his smell is off them.
Yeah.
You've got to the stage where you're like, oh, come on, give him a chance, because you've watched him, because you're totally for the whole thing. You're just watching his face, and listening to him try and just get through this drive.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, oh, come on, he's working really hard here. He's trying really hard. Give him a break. And you're like, hang on, not 20 minutes ago, he just shattered her view of what she thought their life was.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really,
how
really
can
hard.
How can you expect a resolution within 90 minutes, which is what he's asking for? Not only is it an affair, it is now a child that, if she chooses, will be in her life forever as well.
Yeah.
As logical as it is for him, it's like, well, I have all of the facts, so whether I spend 90 minutes thinking about it or 90 days, I should, in theory, be able to come to the same solution, but the rest of the world doesn't work in the same way that his brain works.
Yep.
Oh, man. So, I mean, that's just one element of the film. So, why, Sean, do we not feel... Why do we feel for him? Why do we feel... And I'm leading you into one specific back seat of the car. Why don't we think this guy's an absolute dick?
So there's a initially quite odd one, because there's nothing at all. This is, as I say, it is the most mundane. There is nothing straight. There's no flying cars, nothing like that. So when he starts talking to the rear view mirror, there was just that 1 second of, ooh, are we about to take a hard left here?
Because he does a couple of eye glances up, and I rewatched it with my partner, and she said she couldn't quite remember that he has the conversation that he has, and she was like, is someone following him? Like, why is he looking in the rearview mirror? And I was like, wait for it.
I was even thinking, is there someone in the boot?
Yeah. Oh, man, that would have taken a super dark turn. Wow. Yeah. Ooh.
Like, no wonder he's trying to get away. He's got someone, a body. But it's not that at all. No, he's talking. He's both talking to himself, and he is talking to his dad.
Yeah.
Who is, like, on the surface, he's just imagining his dad sitting in the back of the car, and he's just talking to him and talking at him. Really. Yeah. Although, no, the way he's talking, it sounds like it's a conversation. Now, what we see is Tom Hardy talking to the mirror.
Yeah.
So it's left ambiguous enough that, is he actually seeing his dad? Yeah. Or is this very functional, I must have a cause and a solution man? This is the one thing he doesn't have control over. He does not have, well, not the one thing, but he doesn't have control over what his dad did or didn't do in his life.
Yeah, and the way I see it is that these are all of the things he has wanted to say to his dad but couldn't. And I think his dad was obviously taken sooner than he expected. Now, he's not sorry about this. He's very happy that he's buried him. But he would quite happily, and he says it, dig him up and show... I love it so much when he's like, I would dig you up and I would show you. Get ready to be educated. I'm going to show you what a man does. And it's showing him, this is what you could have done, and it was within your power to do so, and I'm going to prove it to you. And the looking in the rearview mirror is such a good choice, because if you think about it, he could have just been looking at the road and just talking, or he could have looked over to the passenger seat next to him and talked. But I don't know why, but looking in the rearview mirror just gives you a real focus, doesn't it? And you kind of think that he's always there, whether Ivan is talking to him or not. His dad's in the back seat, gagged, and he's just watching all of this unfold.
Or even, this is not the most insightful thing you'll ever hear, but the idea of this backseat driver, his dad, could be in his head guiding his actions. But in another way, the fact that he is doing what he is doing, he is going to make sure that he arrives in time, hopefully, for the birth of his new child. The fact that he's going to address his problems head on means that he's wresting control away from the backseat driver, who has been maybe sitting on his shoulder all of his life, that he's been not the devil, but, just that weight, that consciousness, the monkey on your back, if you like.
Yeah, and it's probably been stewing for the last, 7 months since he's had the affair. I bet the second he woke up the next morning, he was probably thinking, oh shit, I am my father's son. So I think this has been stewing inside him. And this is the most passionate and emotional that you see him, because he has to stay calm for Bethan, the mother of his child. He's got to stay calm for Donald, the man that he's left in charge of this ridiculous building site.
The one man you wouldn't want in charge.
Oh man, we'll get onto that. The comic relief in a film that you think couldn't possibly have comic relief, but it is beautifully balanced. He's got to be calm for his son, because he doesn't want to break this to his son, who is, I think, I would probably, at a guess, say 13, 14.
I get that. There's two. There's Sean, who I think is the older of the two, and Eddie, who is the 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously got to stay calm for the wife, because she's his ticket home.
Literally, all she has to do is just change the lock on the door. Yeah,
that's it. And it's when the first time that he speaks to his dad, in inverted commas, in the back seat. It's when he says, "What the fuck are you looking at? You're laughing at my predicament." So I think it's been playing on his head. It's just like, my dad would love to see this, because I'm doing the things that he was probably very high and mighty when his dad walked back into his life, saying, "I've made something of myself. I'm not a cheating, lecherous old man like you are." But to his credit, he's just like, "I'm gonna go to exactly the one place that is the worst place in the world for me to be right now. I'm driving straight towards the place where I definitely shouldn't be driving, because I'm not you, and I'm going to fix this, and I'm going to take care of it." So good.
You'll admire him to the point of frustration for how much he doesn't lose his cool with any one. Like, there's maybe a couple of moments. So Bethan, who by the way is so when I say played by, so everyone in this film except Tom Hardy and a couple of extras are their voices only, right? So you have Bethan is played by Olivia Colman.
However, they did call. They did phone. They were in a hotel making the phone calls, so the audio isn't added in later. He is hearing their actual voices. Which is really, really important. But yeah, Olivia Colman. And I hate that this is the description, because it's like, really? Like, you did the casting call, and I was like, you're a lonely old woman in that is just lonely and sad, and there's nothing about her at all. She doesn't really like life.
It was just
and then Olivia Colman's just like,
awful.
Hi.
Olivia Colman's lovely.
She's amazing. She's brilliant.
Yeah. And she nails that panic and particularly loneliness. I think is, if you had to think of a word to describe somebody in one word, Bethan is just lonely, because she rings him to tell him she needs to go to the loo. She rings him to tell him the windows are open. She rings him to tell him she loves him, and she rings him to tell him she hates him, and all of this within
exactly. He's just frustratingly logical, because even like Bethan is just a list of problems. So the window's open. Okay, get somebody to come in and close the window. I'm in pain. Right, is there a bell? Ring the bell and get them to take away the pain. But really what she just wants to do is to have a moan with him and get him invested and get him to say I love you, and he's just like, of course, like, don't be he's incredulous, like, don't be ridiculous. I don't know you. I can neither hate you or love you. You mean literally nothing to me because I don't know you.
Yeah.
And she can't understand that.
Because I don't have any kids, so I've not been in the situation where obviously where I'm not giving birth or where I'm waiting for a partner to give birth. But I'm assuming it's a highly emotional time. I mean, for everyone concerned. That's
fair to say.
And then,
sorry to all the mums out there that Sean just massively understated childbirth.
The dads who went and got pissed in the pub, and the dads who sat there shell-shocked. Everyone, right? Because
or like my dad that just passed out. Love you, Dad. Well done, Mum.
I'm pretty sure my dad was doing something else. But anyway, but he's none of these things. His child is on the way, and he's like, you have a problem, so fix it. You are in pain, speak to somebody about it. Yeah. Your windows are closed, or are open, close the windows.
And she's a problem on the list with a subset of problems. And then she's just like, am I just on the list? And he's like, yes, I have a list of things that I need to do, and you are on the list. And that, to him, perfectly fine. He's got a to-do list, and she's just on it somewhere.
That's it. Yeah, he's done, like, it's not that he's doing nothing wrong. It's the whole fact that he is accepting that he has done something wrong is what kickstarts the entire, the entire series of events. So every phone call that he has to have, every situation he has to have, is because of what is happening on this night. Now, it's because of what he did.
Yeah, exactly. And Bethan wraps it up with, I love you. And I'm just like, okay. It's like, well, can't you say it back? It's like, no, but I will be there as fast as traffic will allow.
And he's just like...
It's all about the traffic, isn't it? He's not even angry at the traffic. He's just like, well, there's a speed limit. I'm doing an acceptable amount over the speed limit, but there's nothing I can do. It's traffic. It's the roads.
And you're just like, well, I mean, you're right, but stop being so level-headed.
Yeah, stop being so damn logical, you bloody Vulcan.
Yeah.
So you can't help but feel sorry for Bethan as well, but... Because you get her need for love, you get her need for affection, and...
Certainly the way she's described, yeah.
Yeah, and it makes sense that she would want to hold on to this baby, because, 40s is a man with no knowledge here, but it's where it gets risky to have children. So, as far as she's concerned, this is her one chance to have a child. So, all of the motivations here make sense. She would have it even if he didn't turn up.
It's sort of somewhere between, is all of this not a ploy? I sound like such a man saying this, but not a ploy to get him to come and be with her. Is this her golden ticket?
So I think that she truly would have kept this baby anyway, but I think she is also thinking he has no choice but to love me now, but doesn't understand that that's not how his brain works. There's no need. He has that back home. But she can definitely hope, and I think she is just living in hope.
Yeah, as you say, there's no question. Like, he is resolute. He will be driving back home in the morning. Now, he might be driving home to a closed door, but he will be driving home, and that is, in a way, as well, that's worrying. And I say it's worrying because I don't think he's not presented as, say, the kind of man who will drive to the hospital. I am here. I have seen child. I have signed birth cert. Yeah. See you at the child's. See you at Christmas. I don't think he's like that. He's going to be
in the child's life, which is why I don't necessarily think he drives home. I think he continues the conversation with his wife, but I don't think he would force himself back into the house until she was kind of ready, and maybe she comes round. I would imagine that the next time he goes up there is to see the kids. So I think they arrange something to see the children, and he starts talking to his wife. I
like how real it was as well, because I've been in situations of like high shock, and in some of those situations I've been right. Okay, need to plan, need to act. And one of the things that Katrina, who is played by, Ruth Wilson, who people might know from
Luther.
His Dark Materials. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I've not seen Luther, so...
Oh, yeah, no, so her big coming out party was Luther, where she is batshit insane and dangerous. But my second favourite thing about that TV show after Luther.
Gotcha.
She's awesome. She's awesome in it.
Cool. Yeah, no, we like her. And I don't necessarily know if I would have identified her voice straight away, but then once you see the picture, you're like, oh, of course it's her.
Yeah. It's the same. The only one I did identify was Tom Holland. Because
I didn't. I saw the cast list and I went, oh, it's him.
Tom Holland. Because this is pre-Spider-Man. So it's, his voice is, you can't unhear it. And he's the perfect innocent English kid. Into his football. He's perfect for this.
Mum made the sausages you like. But anyway, no. So Katrina says to him on the phone, right, you're gone. The one thing she repeatedly says, which is crushing because there is, in this context, there is no argument to it. The difference between once and never is infinite.
It is. It mathematically is infinite, yeah. And you can't undo that. You can't go back to zero.
Yeah, especially, and then I'm sure there are, a lot of men out there who cheated on their partners and, they might have been like, oh, I would have got away with it as well if not for that damn kid. So...
Yeah.
They... But yeah, and you don't get that. You don't get this impression with him that he's like, oh no, she decided to keep it. Oh, terrible. I would never have told anyone otherwise. But he seems to be very, very honest. And this has all happened sooner because she's 2 months premature.
Exactly, yeah. So I believe that he was going to tell his wife.
Yeah.
Because he was going to be a part of this kid's life somehow. Now, if she hadn't kept the baby, I don't know. Because what we'll get onto is that he is compartmentalization personified. He can box things off very, very easily, which is why he's able to deal with each ridiculous problem as it appears throughout the night. Whereas most people would just be, fuck the building site, I have got my life to put back together.
Phone off, nearly. Yeah,
off. Fuck Chicago immediately. I'm not dealing with it. But I think he could probably compartmentalise that one night and probably logically say, what's the pros and cons here? What's the benefit to the loss? And I think that's a sketchier side of Locke that we don't get to see.
It is, and it's sort of, for one way or another, I think there are many, many, many situations like that where little decisions go along the way. I won't tell her today because we're having a good day. I won't tell her this week because the bills have just come in and this is just another thing. And then it becomes, look, if there was no baby, right? Look, it was one time and I know I'll never do it again. And
I'm
so
sure you thought you'd never do it the first time.
Exactly, yeah. And this is, I mean it when I say none of this with judgment. This I was going to say this took a turn. No, this was kind of an inevitable conversation to have alongside this film. But there's no judgment when I say, 2 bottles of wine and suddenly he's jumping into bed with somebody else. I think there was, the way he is presented, there was a whole situational thing as well. As he said, he was celebrating the fact that they had just completed a massive project. Which for him is the most important thing. Yeah,
he mentions the rain, which everything is more romantic in the rain. So you can almost imagine this kind of giddy joking, oh, quick, let's get in out of the rain. And you can, the way they tell the story of it is, it makes sense, is horrible, but you believe it. It's believable. But he's as incredulous as anyone else. When he's explaining it to Katrina, he's like, I don't believe that I'm saying this, but this is what happens. And she's so lonely and old, and I don't know why I did it, but I did.
Not that this scores him any points, because it doesn't, but you almost feel that there was a part of him that it was like a pity shag.
Yeah.
And even that's not okay, because that trivializes as well.
That doesn't do her any favours at all.
It just, oh my god, he is not in any way, like, despite how pragmatic he is being and how he is, quote unquote, doing the right thing, he's not really doing the right thing by her. She doesn't really factor very much into his mind. The child
not at
does.
all. The child, it's all about the child. Especially, I think it's a boy, isn't it?
I actually, do you know what I was thinking back? I can't remember.
I might be wrong, but I think she does say it's a
There
he.
is- yeah.
But it's very much so. It's not explicitly said, but I think that Locke is the product of an affair.
Well, it definitely a broken home.
Yeah, exactly. One end of it. No, you know what? He can't be, because well, it is a broken home, but I think he is a legitimate child because, well, sorry, all children are legitimate, but he's, I think, the one out of the marriage because he said the Lockes are a long line of bastards and fuck-ups.
Yeah.
If he was part of an affair, he probably wouldn't have his dad's name.
That is very... Yes,
taking the name is a big point for him. He wants this child to have his name. So obviously his dad has done that and not given his name to the products of the affairs that he's had. Oh, complicated.
It's hard because it's... In some situations, it's very easy to go, yep, you are an absolute cock. And you know what? You got pissed and you took your pants off. What's wrong with you? And that is exactly what happened. And yet, he is the family man. He is constantly told by the people who are shouting at him how dependable he is and how reliable and how... you would never do this. And the fact that he is that dependable, reliable person is the fact that he has walked off the job and he's left home to go to a woman he doesn't know so that he can metaphorically hold her... Well, really, if he gets there, but hold her hand while she's giving birth to his child.
Yeah. And because he's explaining it to Gareth, and he's just like, look, this is the decision that I have made. I have not behaved in the right way with this woman at all. I behave like a way that isn't me. And he's explaining that to Gareth. He's explaining it to him. Don't laugh at my Welsh accent. It's spot on.
I'm not saying a word.
He's explaining to Gareth how he's behaved not at all in a way how he would normally behave. He can't explain that, but he can try and fix it. Because now it is in... Whatever happened in the past, it's within his gift now to change it.
Yeah. And it's... You almost feel so annoyed at him that night because him that night has ruined everything for him every other day of his year.
Yep.
Now, he is the same person. Nobody took control of his body. There was no possession going on. And yet you're just like, But you could almost imagine if, say, imagine the scene, himself and his best buddy in a pub, and he turns around to his best buddy and he says, all right, she's told, I've done this, and she's told me she's pregnant. And the best buddy would be like, what can you do to get out of this situation?
Yeah.
You're an idiot and I hate what you've done, but, what can you do to get out of it? Because you are Mr. Family Man, you are Mr. Dependable on the, you can't risk these things. No. And what does he do?
It's this fighting against nature, isn't it? So I think what kills him is that he's got this well-polished reputation. He's got the family he's always wanted. He's proved his dad wrong, but hasn't. So it's like there may have been 100 opportunities where he could have had an affair, and he put them all to bed, and his entire battle against his genetics and his nature has been undermined by this one night, and I think that's what infuriates him.
It's the severity of the, I suppose, consequences, in a way. All of us are consequences, us children. But if he had driven drunk and crashed the car with just himself now, and crashed the car, look, you're an idiot, and sorry, you can't say his dad was a heavy drinker and he had done that, then you could be like, look, you're not your dad, you did this one thing, which is terrible, never do it again. But you can't really use that argument when there's a baby.
No, you can't brush it away, can you?
Yeah.
But I just love that idea that this person, this cheating, horrible person, has been inside him the whole time, and he's just been suppressing it by overachieving. So he's not just a good site manager, he is the best, he is the most reliable. His reputation is so important to him because of that. The Polish chap, Is it Stefan?
Stefan, yeah.
Yeah, it says he's the best man in England.
And he's just silent.
Oh,
yeah,
man, that hits me.
You're just like twisting
It's just like, no,
the
I'm
knife.
not. I'm not the
Can we
best
talk
man.
about, because this has been really, really heavy, can we talk about Donald?
Yeah, so I think we've covered off pretty much that. I'm glad we led with the heavy stuff, because the film is about that. It's about this affair, and it's about his life that he's lost. Why this is a fantastic film is the balance. So you've got really two big set pieces. You've got his home life and his work life, and the balance between all of the emotion and the passion and the love is at home. All of the is at the building site.
It's
Poor Donald.
Oh, I know. So Donald, who is vocally played by Andrew Scott, you all know him, Moriarty in Sherlock.
Yes.
He is the sexy priest in Fleabag, and he's in so many other things as well.
Yeah.
But he has a really distinctive voice. I love him as a fellow Irishman, but he is.
So
he's
poor
funny because
Donald.
he's on his way home basically when Locke rings him.
Yeah, everyone's packed up. Everyone's gone. He's a good man, but he ain't no site manager.
He is not a site manager, and he gets a rapid, unwelcome promotion that night.
Oh man!
Basically, Locke rings him and says, I need you to be me tonight." And he's going to say, "Come again?"
What?
No.
You aren't. You're kidding. Because he's like, this isn't you. You don't have affairs. Like, how is this? Oh no, because he doesn't explicitly say it, does he? He says,
I don't think he doesn't tell
Donald.
Donald.
There's been a family thing that I have to go and do, and he's like, look, can you just tell me if someone's dead? Because this is really, really like it. Somebody had better be dead. It's like no one's died.
Ivan, I fucking hate myself for saying it, but like, if your mom is dead or something, he's there fishing for what is an acceptable reason
Make
for
this
walking
okay,
off the job.
please.
Yeah. So I'd kill your mother, so this will be okay.
Yeah, this will be fine. Locke he's just like, look, it's fine. Like, this is happening. So again, next practical step. Donald, this is happening. You are in charge. I will be on the phone every single minute. However, there are things that I need you to do, and there are things that I need you to check. And this is where just oh man, you don't want to laugh, but some of it is absolutely hilarious, and I can't help but laugh at it.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Right. So, an odd comparison, but I'm going to compare this to the recent Netflix series, The Queen's Gambit, for a second, right?
Right.
And in The Queen's Gambit, I've never, ever been so compelled watching somebody play chess.
Yeah.
And in Locke, I've never been so compelled with watching somebody chase a council sign-off on a road closure at 6:45 in the morning.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Why is this so intense? Why am I...
Yeah.
I don't care that you're in an Indian restaurant. Shut up.
Just talk
and
to me.
Ring
10 seconds. Oh. So, but there's a stop and go. So one of the things he has to sort out is some road closures to allow these 12 lorries, or however many lorries it is, of cement. And then the cement is going to be poured into the foundations. To get the lorries in, you have to close off a load of roads. So there's one road, a stop and go, that needs permission from the council. He manages to get the phone number of the councilman, but he's having a curry. I was like, no, don't disturb me. I'm having a curry. And you're like, fuck the curry. Just agree. But the beauty of it is he agrees because of Ivan's reputation. So a previous job, Ivan gave everything in early. Didn't mess them about. He was perfect, and that bought him the stop and go on this job.
Like, it's his manager who he talks to over the phone is a guy called I've lost his name now.
He has a mustache, and I can't remember his name.
No, the actor is Ben Daniels. The actor again is from that show that you don't like, but he's in lots of other stuff as well. Anyway, right. While you're googling the character's name, so the boss's character's name, Gareth. Thank you very much. Yeah, Gareth. Right. So he's talking about that, and Gareth is obviously like all the other characters, starts with I can't believe it, I can't believe it, I can't believe it, and gets increasingly riled, and then tries to kind of go like, oh no, basically fingers on my ears, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
So he is the job, as you said, the job is massive. If the job had been building the corner house in an estate, nobody would have blinked at this. They might have been like, all right, Locke, your reputation now will have taken a bit of a knock from this, but come on, like we can get it. It just so happens to be the equivalent of putting the concrete lid on Chernobyl. Like, you cannot miss this job.
You can't mess this up. This is, we're building the Eiffel Tower, that's a shit example. We're building the Empire State Building. This is the concrete pour for that. You can't get it wrong.
And so, when, Donald, I think, is the first one to say, he's like, you're going to get fired over this. Yeah, and the first time it's said, you're kind of like, okay, because it's you don't realize, because this is quite early in the film that Donald says it, and you don't realize the breadth of his reputation. You kind of, the 10 years is kind of bandied about as a 9 number years. At the start. Not you're. Well, I don't care. Whatever the fuck it is, Ivan.
Into that one. Yeah. It's 9 years. Gareth's trying to do a nice thing for him as well, and all Locke can focus on is it's 9 years. If you care, you get my length of service right.
He is. This is. Speaking of, I've been a manager in the past, right? And speaking of, this is the ideal person to fire, because he might be fired, but by fuck am I going to do this last job right?
Absolutely. My reputation is not going to go down in flames. I will sabotage everyone around me to make sure that this cement pour happens. And you get a brilliant snapshot of what he's like to work for. When he's like, you need to ring all of the people that are providing the cement and make sure that it's C6. I've never been more obsessed with...
What if it's nearly C5, though?
Yeah, so what's the... No, Donald asks him, it's just like, so it's C6, isn't it? And no, don't ask me that as if it's a question. Of course it's C6. I've put it on the fucking clipboard. What else would it be? I was like, yeah, and then Donald kind of comes back and says, no, I know you don't like questions, so you get the...
This isn't a question, this isn't a question. And then proceeds to immediately ask a question.
How much does it need to be C6? Can we have one? And he gives his descriptions of what the building will do. I wrote them down because I absolutely love it. Yeah, he's describing how the weight of the building will change the water table. And it was like, it will cast a shadow a mile long. It needs to be C6. Is that right? So C6 it is. Yes, hang up.
Like,
I've never been so obsessed with the consistency of concrete. Like, you don't trust God with concrete.
Yeah. Oh my God. He's like, yeah, look, it'll be a dry day tomorrow. What do you mean it's going to be a dry day?
Yeah,
you don't know that.
I have personally made a deal with God. It will not rain tomorrow. No. You don't trust God with concrete. It's too important. It's too delicate.
I love that. And I would love that if it went a little bit further. I would love this to be a universe where, no, 100% proof positive, God exists, Locke is a believer, and God is a feckless bricklayer who just is untrustworthy. And you're like, concrete. No, don't trust God. God's going to fuck this up, all right? I need you to get Jim. Jim will do this right. And you can, because you can hear it happening. So part of the comedy is that Donald starts by, with a bottle of fizzy pop. And then every phone call, you can hear him getting surlier, and he's had another can of cider. And there's at one point where, and Locke just says, you will not drink tonight. You will stay up all night. This will be perfect. Yeah. You will not
sleep
drink tonight.
Apart from you're not going to sleep.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it gets to, I think he's about, it might be 2 cans of cider in. And he kind of, this is, I think, the closest Locke comes to, I think it's a strategically spoken threat.
Yes.
But it's the closest he comes to almost losing his cool, where he says, if you have one more can of cider, I will come down there and I will break both of your legs. And then you have Donald on the other side going, you're going to get angry at me. You dropped me into this.
And that's because that's when he finds out that he's been. So this is a beautiful, beautiful piece of management, and it shows that he really understands people, because yeah, he says he kind of gets that he's being a bit shirty, and he's like, "So have you that fizzy pop? I'm assuming you've had a cider," and that's when he's like, "If you drink anything else, yeah, I'm gonna break your legs." And the fact that Donald loses it with him is the tell. So I think Locke knows that Donald will not lose his shit and will not shout at him, unless he's drunk, and to just deadpan he could continue to shout at Donald, but then Donald's going to shut down, and he needs Donald, whether he's drunk or not, he needs him on site. And he's just like, "So it is cider you've been drinking then?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay, cards on the table. Yeah, just it's been one can." It's like, right, well, now that you're honest, we can take the next practical step and move on from here. Don't fucking drink anymore and we'll be fine.
Such a managerial tool.
It is, yeah. It's knowing when to use the stick and when to use the carrot. Absolutely.
Yeah. One of the funnier bits with Donald is after, so he goes and he's doing what he's told. It's going to be C6, that's fine. So he starts to inspect the site, inspect the pumps, and then inspect the shuttering.
Yeah.
And he rings him up, and at this point, Donald is at least 3, if not 4 cans of cider in, because where up to this point he's been like, "Yeah, boss," or he's been like sullen, but he's still had everything.
Yeah.
He rings him up. "It's all fucked.
It's fucked.
It's fucked. They fucked us.
Yeah.
It's all fucked."
Dodgy. I don't know. Dodgy. No, they weren't German, were they? Who were they? The dodgy.
Were they Hungarian?
Yeah, the dodgy Hungarians or whoever they were. They fucked us. It won't take my weight, let alone all of this concrete.
Yeah. Pushed it. I just pushed it and it fell over.
Yeah.
And Locke is just like, at this point, the how he hasn't gone grey in this drive.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Right, you're going to go down to this street, it's blocked off. You're going to find Stefan. Stefan is currently, they don't have a license to work after 10. You're going to tell him 500, bring 2 of his guys." And like, I'm just watching the film going, how is he keeping his cool? And then part of me is like, he's got something for every single problem.
And that he obviously knew that those guys were there. He knew that they were working there. So he had them as a backup plan.
Yeah.
Even if he was still on site, he would have had to do this. So all he needs to do is, instead of go there himself, he probably would have sent Donald to do this anyway.
I think
because he would have stayed on site. So this probably would have happened whether Locke was there or not. But again, it's his reputation that brings the Polish guys over. Is that, yeah, I'll do anything for Locke. He's a good man and I owe him a favour. But it does spawn my favourite little quote in the film, and it's the most joy that you see from Locke, because this is the last hurdle. Everything has gone wrong, but nothing can go wrong after this. It's fine. And his logic is like, well, you can't drive because he's already been caught over the limit and he'll lose his license. So I was like, well, you fucking run then, Donald. You can run like the wind when you're drunk.
He plays him up so much. Yeah. It's brilliant. You could run fast when you've had a few drinks.
Yeah, everyone can run faster when they've been drinking. Oh. It's like you do it for the piece of sky that we're stealing, and it's like you do it for the concrete. It's so good.
It's a tale of one man's love affair with his concrete. Really,
it is. Yeah, do it for the air that is going to be displaced by this monumental beast that's going to cast this mile-long shadow. It's going to disrupt the water table. Like, this is... I think Locke would be passionate about any career and any field that he got into. It's just very jarring to hear it so passionately about concrete, isn't it? Which is why I think it's a beautiful, beautiful career choice for the story. It made me passionate about concrete. I just wanted to know more about it.
That's it, same. Like, I was going to make a joke there, but no, same. Like, it's like, oh man, like there's so much more to this than I've ever considered. Here I am, like, quoting comedian Tommy Tiernan, like, I am the lifelong artist. I get blisters pointing.
Yeah.
And but I did work in a warehouse for a summer. I am actually a badass.
Oh, you can show it's really weathered, yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
But after he's like done this rant, Donald's just like, "You've gone mad," and he's just like, "Yes, that would be a fair assessment." Can't deny it. I'm now mad. I'm bonkers. But it's the mistake that jumps out at me so much is the site Bible. So the site manager's guide.
Yeah.
And he's just like, right, I need you to find the site manager's guy. That's what you need. It's going to have all of the phone calls. You're going to have to make some decisions based on this book. And he doesn't believe Donald. When Donald says, I haven't got it, it's not here. And he's like, no, of course it is. And he's like, fuck, it's in the glove box. And when he hangs up after that call and just punches the steering wheel and screams, fuck, you're like, oh man, this is really bad. Like, he's not going to tell anybody that he's losing it, but he's really losing it.
That's the thing. And it's weird, like, the fact that he got another woman pregnant feels like less of a mistake.
It seems like that frustrates him less. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like this thing that he's just like, absolutely every number he could conceivably need is driving 90 miles an hour in the wrong direction from where it needs to be.
Yeah. I love as well, you just again how much he's on top of everything, is that he gives Donald clear instructions. So he kind of talks him through the first few bits, like reading the book as he's driving, and then he's like, grand, okay, and you must now go and ring, PC Daniels or whoever, and cut everything off. Gives it 10 minutes, rings PC Daniels. Hello, have you been called by yes I have. Thank you, I'm just checking.
He's leaving absolutely nothing to chance. So you've got that punctuated with his boss Gareth that is still trying to get through to him, and then that's just like a little nagging thing of he keeps having to duck that call, and he's got to rely on Donald not taking his call as well, because he's going to send some teenager site manager that doesn't know what he's doing, and they're going to fuck it up. He trusts nobody, which from experience is not a good trait in a manager, but
you have to be able.
It seems like from experience he can't.
That's true as well, because although Donald seems to be his kind of bumbling right-hand man, because Donald says, I've known you these past 9 years,
but he's got the technical knowledge. He knows what he's... So, sorry to talk over you again, but when the very first phone call, when Donald is like, I can't do this, and I was like, of course you can. You've done cement farming, you've done this, and it's like, yeah, no, but nothing this size. It's fine, it's just bigger. The cement just gets poured longer, it takes more time, but it's exactly the same. And it's that frustrating logic that, this is a massive project, but it's only scalable from the small projects that you've already done. So why can't you do this?
And, that's good advice, I think, for anyone. Like, every project is either as big as or bigger than the one you did before.
Exactly.
And just look at it that way.
Yeah, exactly. It should all scale, unless it's in a completely different field.
Like, now in fairness, Donald, I need you to open the aortic valve.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yes, you
can.
You
need to clamp the vena cava first.
Do it for the piece of vein we're bypassing.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
I'm a brickie.
But it's his focus on his work and his job that I think really, really loses his marriage, because there's an argument online that his wife was already thinking of leaving him, and this was a way to get out. So she focuses on the concrete footsteps. Like, you leave concrete behind wherever you go, which is oh man, that's a metaphor and a half, isn't it? She's got to chip away at the ground to get rid of his footsteps.
The thing is, he absolutely succeeds in this film at ensuring that what he loves the most goes well.
Yep, he succeeds. The concrete gets poured.
And that's probably the biggest criticism against Locke, is that it's not his family, although he clearly loves his family in the way that you can hear the way he speaks to them. And it's not Bethan and his new child, although he will do the right thing and he will be there and everything. But where his passion is in cold, hard concrete.
It is. And I think part of it is that he can control all of the problems with the concrete. He can fix all of that. He's got a solution. He can't necessarily fix his wife. He can't control her decision. If she's decided to leave him, that's the decision. And I think there is a pivot point where he could have saved it, and it's when he's rung his son to get the phone number of the council person.
She does. She throws him. It almost feels like she's right,
Here's the
the
option.
door is open.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
am allowing you to walk through the door, or I'm allowing you to shut the door.
Yeah. I have this number in my hand. Ivan, do you want the number? Yes. And then she hangs up. What if he'd said no? Because he has to choose right then and there. Because he doesn't know that Donald is going to come through with the phone number, which is crushing. But that is the pivot point, isn't it? I choose between the site or my wife. And he chooses the concrete.
He does.
Oh, man, this film is... On the surface of it, it's not deep at all. It's man has affair, leaves job laying concrete.
And yet the way that it's presented,
the way it's written, the way the words that the script itself is absolutely flawless. The way he puts words together, like, I want to know that I'm not driving in one direction. I want to know that there is a return journey on this trip, and you can tell me that. Just the way that the script is put together is just
it's like, in a way, because it's presented, it's not a one take film, and there are breaks in the
it's not
depicted.
trying to be.
It's kind of, it feels one take-ish because it's all on the one drive. This was filmed in 6 nights.
Yeah, so I've seen conflicting things. It was 6 or 8 nights. So either way, let's say a week.
Yeah.
And from what I can work out, they filmed it twice a night over that week. So they basically spent 3 or 4 hours doing that hour-and-a-half journey twice a night, and then snipped together the best scenes all the way through. And they had to do it in 3 half-hour segments, because the memory card on the camera would do half an hour of footage, and then they had to change memory cards.
There was the other thing. So now I'm sure you know this, but in the film, he's on 75 million phone calls, and every so often the car will speak out loud and say, "You have a call waiting."
Yes.
And it breaks his concentration. You know, you can see that he's in the middle of trying to fix something. That was added because the car that they were driving, the actual car itself, had a vocal warning for when the fuel was running low, and it would say, "You are running low on food or fuel." And every time that happened, you will see it. You can see it as the film goes on. First, Locke kind of blinks and keeps talking with his phone call. Then, as it goes on, he gets more and more frustrated, and that's Tom Hardy getting really frustrated that he's giving these intense performances that is then cut across by the car going, "You are low on fuel." So it was done in post production. They changed it to "You have a call waiting." It's
don't
so
talk over me.
Clever.
I'm acting here. I'm a serious actor. But it is a stroke of genius, isn't it? Because it still works with the confused face.
So good.
So the one criticism I have that slightly takes me out of the film, and Stephen Knight, the director and writer, has admitted this himself, is that it feels like an advert for the BMW X5 or whatever it is, doesn't it? It feels like a bit of an...
It is quite a cool car.
It's a very cool car. It's not the car they wanted. They wanted a Land Rover or Range Rover, but apparently they didn't want to know. But yeah, BMW gave them 2 of these cars. And yeah, it's odd how decisions are made, isn't it? Would the film be a lot different if it was in a Land Rover? Because I feel like the car is
stereotypically now Land Rover, kind of a, you know, more of a rugged car for, you know somebody who works on a site. I get that.
But also, he's the site manager. A good chunk of his job is in the office now. Yeah.
Well, that too, and also the size of the jobs they're talking about. Yep, totally understand he would be driving a high-end car.
Absolutely, he's on a fair whack.
So
yeah, love how it was filmed. And it was literally just the car was put onto the back of a trailer, and the trailer is driving down the M1.
Makes sense.
So that's what you've... It's filmed,
I bought the magic of it, I won't lie.
Sorry.
I bought the magic of it. Yeah.
It's filmed on 3 cameras, but Tom Hardy isn't doing any driving at all. The lane changing and all of that is just shots of somebody changing lanes, but all of the internal stuff, it is on the M1. He literally drives past Northampton, nearly past my house, drives past Luton, my old house and where I currently work. In fact, this morning I drove past junction 11, exactly in the same lane that the truck would have been in, heading southbound towards Luton. So it is so bizarre knowing that you're driving on the same bit of road.
I was laughing because I'm a dub, so I know nothing of your motorways. I know nothing of anything. But from being your friend, I know that Luton is south of Northampton. So at that point, I went, "Oh, he's driving south."
Yes, exactly. I've helped you.
Yes, yay!
And it is
I feel like I'm part of things.
The journey itself, it makes sense. Like that's how long it would take, and it could have been done as a one shot. And Sarah made a good point on Twitter. It would make a damn good play, and I've thought this as well.
Yes, it would.
Excuse me. It absolutely works as a play. Man, I wouldn't want to be the person acting in that play because that's a lot that you've got to draw on in an hour and a half. But I would pay money to watch this on stage, especially if it was Tom Hardy.
Oh yeah, that too.
But I think it's phenomenal. Oh boy! So, will you? Is there anything else you wanted to talk about in the film? I've hit the bits that I love.
No, I think we've covered it all. I suppose it has a somewhat happy ending because it closes on he's pulled up to you can tell it's the last scene because he's pulled the car off the road for a second because he is obviously moving for the entire film, and then he has tried to ring Bethan. There was a complication. The cord is wrapped around the baby's neck, so they're going to have a C-section.
Yeah.
And so she has gone under the knife. So she's kind of not really in the last, say, half hour of the film. And then I think the immediately previous phone call was a last phone call with Gareth, the boss, who was sort of... No, he was ringing him to go, why isn't Donald picking up his phone? And Locke was able to say, I've sorted everything,
Yeah.
And Gareth's like, but no, you're still fired. Locke's like, that's not the point. The point is I've sorted everything. Everything's okay. And Gareth goes, oh, well, Chicago this, Chicago that. And Locke, it's the only time that you see Locke kind of go like, right, here we are. And he goes, I've learned 2 words tonight, Gareth. And those words are fuck Chicago.
It's spine-tingling, isn't it?
And the next phone call that he gets while the car is parked and he's almost, you don't know what he's going to do at this point. Right. And Bethan rings and he goes, are you okay? And next you hear is just the baby just gurgling over the phone.
Yeah.
And
she's just like, are you going to come? And he's like, yeah, of course I am.
Yeah. I don't know if you would call it a happy ending, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a sad ending either.
I think it's just an ending. It doesn't have to be happy or sad, does it? It is... Nobody wins in this situation, apart from Chicago, ironically, because the job will have been pulled off. But it's an ending. It's a satisfying ending. I don't even know if it's... No, it is satisfying, but nobody's a real winner. There's one more bit I wanted to touch on, and it gets back to quite the heavy stuff. It's... The only time you really see Locke cry is when he knows that his son is aware that something is now wrong. So Mum is smashing plates. She won't come out of the toilet. She said to him that you're not going to be coming home. She said to Tom Hardy that to Tom Holland that Locke isn't going to be coming home. And he goes into denial. He's just like, I'm hiding in my bed. And he's left him a voicemail. That's what it is, because he couldn't get through on the phone, and it's describing the goal and what he wants to do, and that they're going to pretend that they're watching the game for the first time. They're going to get the sausages, and he knows that's not going to happen, but that's his coping mechanism, and that's what breaks Locke entirely. Like, my son now sees me the way that I see my dad. And you've got to imagine that his one goal in life was to not be his dad. And
despite his action, despite he got this woman pregnant, despite that, he is not his dad.
No,
and
he's not.
Your heart breaks for him.
Yeah.
He's not innocent, but he is not guilty.
But he's worked his entire life to not be the part of the long line of shit that the Lockes are. And his message to... Is it to Gareth? I think it's to... No, it's to his dad. It's the last conversation that he has with his dad, in inverted commas. It's just that you have to be solid. And there are times when your kids are going to hate you. There are times when they will love you. But it won't matter either way, because you are solid and you are consistent. So they will always have him as a constant in their lives, regardless of how they feel about him, and that's the main thing. You can't get parenting right. There isn't an instruction manual, but what you have to be is present, and he will be present for this kid, and that's such a good message.
Yeah, it is. Like, there is good takeaways in this. He's not a bastard.
No.
He's not a lecherous man. He wasn't out looking for somebody else, and
No.
you certainly get the feeling that he had, as he said, it was only one time. Doesn't make it okay, but it's very different. He's not a serial cheater.
No. It is problem solving, the movie, isn't it? And I love it.
Yeah,
it really appeals
is,
to my logical side of me. As anxious as he is, he very quickly comes up with a solution to everything. Masterpiece of filmmaking. Is it on your Rewindables list now, Sean? Is it a film that you're going to come back to? Clearly not, because it's bored the shit off of you.
Oh, I was going to say cut that one out in post. No, I really enjoyed it. I think because it's got a good length. It does, so that means it doesn't drag anything. Because again, if your elevator pitch for this film, man drives to hospital.
Yeah.
He's like, okie dokie.
And it has to be Tom Hardy. It has to be somebody that can... So Stephen Knight said he only ever pictured Tom Hardy in it because he needed somebody that could carry the audience's attention for 90 minutes, and Tom Hardy can absolutely do that. There's a few other people I can imagine doing it, but I don't want to watch this film with anyone other than Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah, no, this is it for me now.
Yeah.
It's also like... I think I was saying... There's no sequel. If there's a sequel, we do not feel sympathy for this man. I'm going to my other child's birth. It's like, now Ivan.
Fuck. Yeah.
But no, it's excellent. Can I see myself watching it again? Yes, I can, because it's a solid, tight film. You do feel for the guy. It is as heavy as we've described it, but it's not a depressing... You won't come out of it feeling... There are some heavy films where you're like, I don't think I want to watch that one again.
I don't know why you went
not
English.
like that.
That's my part.
Take
it. I really enjoyed this film. It was good. It was grand.
Go back to Welsh.
Do it for the piece of sky that we're stealing.
Could I do it for the piece of sky that we're stealing?
Do it for the land that will be displaced.
We are going to rightly get hell from our Welsh listeners. Our Welsh listeners, we love you.
We do.
We are so sorry.
I can't believe he played Cardwell. Cardwell's usually a donkey. My favourite insult now is to describe somebody as a donkey in a Welsh accent. Well, don't do a podcast with Sean. He's a fucking donkey.
It's true. I am, though. That is a totally fair description.
Oh, dear. Right, Sean, before we actually lose you to the land of sleepy buys, next week it's on to your turn. So we'll have Rewindables Part 3. What are we looking at? And will you all watch along with us?
It is 2001's Mindbender, Donnie Darko. And it's the theatrical version for everyone out there, because there is a director's cut.
Yeah.
It's the theatrical version that we will be covering next week.
I've seen this movie twice. I have thoughts.
Oh, cool.
If you haven't watched it, it's one of those films it's on the list of must-watch cinema. So whatever you think about it and whatever, it's definitely a cult classic, but it's one of those films that has to be watched. It has to be seen, I think. So please, if you haven't watched it, go out and watch it. Let us know what you think on Twitter. Let us know even more what you thought about with Locke. I love talking about it this last week. Anything else to get off your chest, Sean?
No, guys, just in the current climate of everything, look after yourselves. Things have been a bit heavy recently. I've seen the words doom scrolling being used an awful lot recently, so please try and avoid doing that. Or if you do find yourself falling into that doom scrolling pit, come up for air, text your friends, text your family, message us, DM us.
Do something that makes you happy. Go back and watch Locke and imagine that it's me sat in the seat doing a hideous Welsh accent.
And you know what? If you can't do that, Stand By Me is still a pretty good film too.
Oh man, I love Stand By Me. This has been so good. Right, thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you next week.
Bye!
Bye! Thanks for listening to An Englishman and an Irishman Go to the Movies. I, at least, would love to hear your thoughts on the episode. Sean couldn't care enough to record this with me. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at EnglishIrishGTM, email us at anenglishmanandanirishman@gmail.com, and check out our website www.anenglishmanandanirishman.wordpress.com, where you'll find all of our previous episodes. You'll find me on Twitter at galactic_Dave, and you'll find Sean at Sean Ferrick. Thanks for being awesome, and we love you very much.